To order our April 8th, 2024 Board of Education meeting for USD 489. And so at quality learning experience for every student in every classroom every day. To support the mission of the district, the USD 489 Board of Education includes supporting a vision that encompasses high student achievement, highly effective staff, effective and positive communications, effective management of resources. Also vital to keeping focus on the district's mission and vision are that the USD 489 Board of Education supports the district's core values, being a champion for all kids, bringing your best every day, carrying the banner for your school and district, and selling and creating possibilities and opportunities for students for their futures. All right, that brings us to the consent agenda. Mr. Wilson, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, on the consent agenda this evening are board meeting minutes from last meeting, as well as our work session meeting minutes. We have the Migrant contracted services. As you remember, we talked about this, is that Northwest Service Center, Northwest Education Service Center, they've been providing those services to us since our Migrant liaison left the position, and they've been doing it in at will. This is just a contract to continue those services for our district. You also have on there a budget revision request from Federal Head Start from Donna. If you have specific questions on it, I believe she's here that can answer those. We made Pays Rec minutes and agenda, as well as the ECC Director's Report. Also in your packet this evening, you have for consent approval of early graduation requests. We have 3 students who are requesting early graduation, and just remember, early graduation is any student who has not completed 7 semesters at high school, and that's what we consider earlier graduation. You have those letters in your packet and on everything that's needed there. We also have policy council minutes as well as the financials. Chris, anything on the financials you want to?
No, nothing specific.
personnel transactions, I just want to recognize Jamie Malone. Jamie has been with our district for 5 years, but more importantly, Jamie helped us start our mental health in school program, which 5 years ago. She's been tremendous, helped us kind of build the airplane in the sky as we were flying it. I appreciated Jamie for that, as well as Sue Ann Tebow, who's a family consumer science teacher at the high school. You know Sue Ann, she is a breath of fresh air, and we will definitely miss her as she starts a new chapter. So, and then also, you also have in your packet the KSB annual membership legal assistance. This is what the board approves every year. This just makes us a part of KSB and their services, as well as the legal assistance renewal for anything that we do in terms of calling attorneys at the Kansas Association for School. So that's what's on the consent.
All right. Mr. President, I would like to remove 2.3, 2.4, and 2.9. 2.3 is the migrant contract services. 2.4 is the budget revisions for Head Start. And 2.9, the financials.
Okay. Do you have any questions that they can answer real quick?
I understand that you're not supposed to do too much discussion on the consent agenda.
That's not.
I guess I got a question about the contract with migrant services. It looks like a check's already been written for the contract. It's cleared the financials before we approve the contract.
So I had that in preparation based on our conversation at the work session last meeting where we talked about it. I had consensus. If you don't approve it here, we just wouldn't send the check.
Okay, so the check's hasn't
The
actually...
check is written, it gets signed tonight, but it doesn't get released until you approve it.
Can you say the ones again after Migrant?
Sure. 2.4 and 2.9. You want to know what they were?
Yes.
2.4 is the budget revisions for Head Start, and 2.9 is financials.
All right. With those removed, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Okay, now I need everybody to refresh, and then who made the motion?
I did.
And Alan seconded. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed say no. All right. Hearing no no's, we will move on to public comment. Do I have people here who are here for public comment? Okay. The board requests that all members of the public respect the rules outlined so that everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input will be given the chance. Speakers are asked to start with stating name and address where they reside. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes to make their presentations. Speakers are asked to make only points that have not been made previously. Except to ask clarifying questions, board members shall not interact with speakers at the open forum. The board asks that all members of the public respect these rules so that everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input that has not already been given will have the chance.
My name is Bill Flipsy, 1309 East 21st Street here in Hayes. And I would like to ask any of you on the board who are in favor of the gender-neutral bathrooms to be transparent with the rest of us in the community. hopefully this could be done in some type of open forum where we could have productive, open discussions with you about this matter. Please provide us all the facts, the cost associated with it, detailed plans and drawings, and any other details that have convinced you that these bathrooms are in the best interest of our children. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Tom Stafford, 1549 220 Avenue. Sometimes when the discussion's going on between board members, the term comes out that we've already visited that. And in conversation about something that's important, I think it's important to revisit things that have been visited. There's a gaping hole in this school between the two buildings that is there because we were told as a community that this building had to be torn down because of termite damage in the timbers. And they didn't revisit that. There were no wooden timbers in the building. It was steel. I think a revisit to some things is important. And if people ask and talk to board members and ask them, or the board members ask to revisit it, and it's something that's somewhat important, I think it's okay to revisit some things. And this bathroom issue is very important. I think revisiting, talking about it, explaining it to people, understanding the problems is very important.
Anyone else like to speak?
I'm Anna Towns. I'm a Hayes resident at 300 East 18th Street here in Hayes. I wanted to talk about the Mascot issue again, speaking of revisiting. I feel like this is something that has come up time and time again. I sent a letter last year in February that I resent to the board because I realized there are new board members, so I did send that out today. I'm not going to read the whole letter here, but I do want to hit some important issues because I think we have an opportunity. If we're talking about combining mascots, then to me the only right way to go is to become the Hayes Falcons. I think it is racist to continue using the Indians as a mascot. There's all kinds of empirical data around the American Psychological Association did a study back in as late as 2005 that I found talking about the harms to students, creating hostile learning environments, and may even be a violation of Indigenous people's civil rights. There's also data that talks about the way that other students view each other. And one of your goals is to be a champion for all kids, and I don't know how you can do that if you're knowingly causing psychological harm to students in our district. We also know that the state of Kansas, the Kansas Board of Education, issued a statement in November of 2022 recommending the removal of American Indian mascots from Kansas schools. And while it is only a recommendation at this time, plenty of other states have made this a requirement so that compliance is mandated, and non-compliance causes all kinds of things from not being accredited to causing fines to be encumbered by the districts, which is something that I think we should avoid. This is also a time to take this step to a positive change because we are already making so many changes to these buildings and letterhead and all kinds of things. If we do this now, that is effective management of our resources, which is part of your vision. If you don't do it now and the state makes it mandatory in the future, this will cost us thousands of dollars, especially as we're moving into 2 schools that are taking on these colors and these visions, and also possibly mascots. Why would we not use those funds that we have at our disposal right now and be good managers of those resources? I also know that this is moving along quickly, and we have not yet done any kind of input from students. There was a laughable task force that was very secretive. There were no minutes that were disclosed. There was no report from that task force that was shown to the public. And so I would encourage you to please take a chance to involve your community. I am a Hayes High grad, and I don't buy things because I don't want to advertise a racist mascot. I want to support our schools, and there's nothing brave and true about continuing to be racist.
All right. Any other comments? All right. Seeing no one else come forward, we will move to 4.1, KHSA award presentation. Are we?
Yep, we're ready.
Okay.
Yep, Dawn.
Okay. We are very excited. We had two Kansas Head Start Association award winners, so we'll be presenting those tonight. And then we also had one Kansas Head Start Alumni Scholarship Award winner, Gabe Stan, who will be receiving that during the Hayes High Awards. So I'm first going to bring up Misty Graham and Brenda, who's going to talk about her. She is the Family Leader of the Year. You may be seeing this adorable little girl running around. That would be her. So.
Like you said, I'm Brenda Raven, and I am honored to present the Kansas Head Start Award for Family Leader of the Year to Misty Graham. Misty is one of our parents at Early Childhood Connections. She's very active in the parent committee, and her family attend most, if not all, of our family engagement events. Misty is a huge advocate. Of all the people I know, she is a huge advocate for children. And I just want to let you know that some of the things that she's participated in, one was the Kansas Head Start Virtual Parenting Network. And that was a network with other parents that helped parents be able to speak for their children on local, state, and federal levels when decisions are being made. And also, she took part in the Early Learning Advocacy Day in Topeka on March 6th. And she's a star, isn't she? And so when Misty was there, she did advocating for children on a state level. And she also shared her concerns for the foster care system. Misty's philosophy is and will always be to focus on the child, and she believes that learning should involve multiple learning styles to support each learning goal. And it's been such an honor for me to get to know her more this year, and Misty, we thank you and we appreciate everything you do for our original students.
I wanted to get a good picture.
You gotta get a picture.
Thank you. And next I'm going to bring up Jay Staub and Sharon Hooper. So Sharon would normally be doing the presentation, but she just came from the dentist. So she's embarrassed that you're able to come up here. So I'm going to read from Sharon's letter. So, Jade has been a teacher in our program for 19 years and has the respect of all those around her for being an exceptional teacher and leader. Jade not only has an impressive depth and breadth of knowledge in early education and early childhood special education, but her level of knowledge implementation is exemplary. Regardless of the types and needs of students in her room, Jade continually places her focus on the strengths of each child. With this intentional focus, she builds strong, trusting relationships with all the children in her classroom. She is truly their first safe place in the room. Jade continually reaches out to establish relationships with families and to help gain understanding of her students and truly partners with parents to work towards shared goals. Jade has maintained positive parental relationships even through some most difficult situations. Jade's skills go beyond the classroom and her work with families. She models leadership among her peers and has taken on various roles that go far beyond typical expectations. Jade has become a member of our building leadership team during all of our Leading with Impact and MTSS, and she has just done fabulous. She is an essential member of our BLT. Within this role, Jade has taken the lead in our program's pilot, focusing on executive functioning skills. She independently sought out various resources, increasing her knowledge on classroom practices, and they shared information with peers to support their professional development. In addition, she's played a pivotal role in setting up professional learning communities in our program. She created the documentation and she trained the teachers in the new process. Through her leadership, teachers are working together in teams to analyze classroom and program data, which supports our program's areas of strengths and opportunities to grow. With her exceptional classroom and family skills combined with her outstanding leadership, it is my pleasure to present Jade with the Kansas Head Start Teacher of the Year Award. Thank you, ladies. Congratulations.
Congrats.
These three candidates have now been submitted for a regional competition, and so we will know their status about being a regional award winner here at the end of the month. So why I'm here, I know this might be out of line and inappropriate, but I am going to not be able to stay for the entire meeting. Could I answer any questions about the budget revision at this time?
You asked for that to be taken out of the consent agenda.
Is that appropriate?
Yeah, I think so, since she's going to have to leave.
Yeah, that'd be great. I noticed on there that the main thing is the amount of money that was changed or reallocated was in benefits, and now it's moved over.
There was, so it was moved from medical, additional in our medical expense line to equipment.
And so that's all you have to do is do a revision?
Yes.
And
And actually, after they passed April 4th, new uniform guidance, and we wouldn't even need to do a revision now, but we're still in that limbo area where we need to complete a revision piece.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. That clarification. Mr. President, is it be appropriate now to?
No, we'll wait till it comes up on the agenda.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We will move on to the superintendent's report. Mr. Wilson?
Okay, just a quick bond update included in your packet, just some pictures as well as some information on where we're at with both Roosevelt and Hayes High. Lots of good things going on in both buildings. We have moved into the, I guess, fourth phase of Roosevelt, which the fourth phase encompasses the old offices at Roosevelt. So they're basically demoing that area and working in that area right now. And as long as things going well in the new addition. Hayes High continuing actually at the first probably big pour of concrete. It was in the I don't know what area that is. What was it? Area something. But it's basically the metals, math, science area. It's over 400 yards of concrete. It was really cool to see that big slab out there. We have the wall withstood the 70 mile an hour winds or whatever they were. That was always the question. I guess it's built sturdy because it got tested. It did have some support, but withstood the western Kansas wind, so that's a win. So Just a quick legislative update.
Hey,
Two things.
Mr. Wilson, before you go on from
Yeah.
the bond,
Yeah.
let me ask you, I've gotten questions and heard some concerns about going forward after the high school's built, the renovations we've got after. We're still on budget and everything with all the bond.
I mean, of course, we still have to make, I guess, design plans for, we have finished O'Laughlin. You should see that at the next meeting.
Okay.
The designs for your approval and, I guess, to look at and ask questions. The GMP will be coming a little later afterwards. With the other two buildings, we'll kind of start digging into them. Of course, any kind of construction project, you have allocated dollars, and we have a pretty good understanding of where we're at. I think the important thing is that what we wanted to make sure is that we were giving the space needed, and that was really what the desire of passing the bond was, to give space to everyone. I guess across the board, and I think we'll be able to do that and feel really good about what we're doing. So that's my response.
I guess kind of asking about that, to look back like the initial proposal when the bond's being passed, and like as far as budgeting, it was $77 million for the high school and change, and when we passed the Naples, it was 110. I mean, the numbers don't seem to jive. It looks like we're going to be behind like $20-something million.
No, I mean, I would say I don't know exactly what the initial maybe estimates on the high school were based upon pre-bond, estimates in terms of, and you have to understand that was back in 2021, most likely when those estimates were made, could have even been 20. We experienced record inflation.
Well, I understand, but what are we going to do?
Across the board, which naturally increased costs for everything.
But, okay, so the high school's projected like 44% above what the initial number was, $77 million. Roosevelt was projected at 10.5 million, and we're 21.5. So we've got to make up money somewhere. I mean, I know there's going to be an extra, whatever, 10 million from interest and stuff on the bond money itself, selling some buildings, there's some other things about it, but like, there's going to be a shortfall as far as I can tell, unless we're making cuts.
Shortfall as far as
being able to do all the stuff to like the current middle school to make it into Felton and to the current high school to make it into the middle school.
We'll be able to do that. We're going to give everybody the space they need.
Well, the initial estimate on the, I guess it'd be the high school becoming the middle school, I believe it is 32 million. And we don't even have that much left in the bond after, taking out for the high school and Roosevelt.
Yeah, I mean, those estimates were made, once again, those estimates were made in 2020, 2021. We hadn't even technically started any kind of schematic design, design drawings, and so.
But you haven't even came close to meeting the first two buildings that we started at. You're way over budget on those. What makes us think that the other ones are going to be?
Well, what I'd say on that is honestly, the construction costs materials have gone up considerably in the last few years, and I get that you're worried about staying on budget, but I think that he has made, or not he, but the district has made cuts that were necessary but not dramatic and not taken away from any of the original purpose. But I can attest from my own job of doing construction and reconstruction costs, what we're paying for to build a building now is probably about 40% more than it was in 2021 or even 2022.
It doesn't change the fact that you run out of money. What do you do when you run out of money?
Well,
I mean, the way I look at it, I don't see how you can finish the other schools anywhere near what we're supposed to have.
I'm very proud of what we've been able to do, and I think we'll be able to kind of do everything that we need to do in terms of providing the necessary space for all.
But it wasn't just space, it was also fully furnishing the schools, the campus. I mean, everything was supposed to be out of that 143.5.
Well, I don't necessarily know if we can. I just said we were.
I've got the ballot here from what we voted on that says finish out a campus, furnish it, equip it, like everything for this money. this is what they voted on. This is what everybody voted on was written on this paper.
Yeah, and it was approved.
Well, yeah, but now you got to follow through on it. I don't think you're doing a very good job at it.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. I feel like we're doing a great job.
Well, I think, time will tell, but right here, right now, I think that the new middle school and the new Felton that's going into the current middle school is going to be not much different than what the buildings are right now. And
Which provides them more space than they currently have.
yeah, but the problem was you're saying everything was out of date, like that things weren't safe, that we were having issues with all the things that, I pulled up the PowerPoint presentation, but it was like basically rating each school building and saying that they weren't adequate or safe or functional. So it wasn't just the space, it's also the facilities and having, air conditioning, clean floors, like we're basically promised brand new looking stuff.
We will have all new HVAC in every building.
Yeah, but it's coming out of capital outlay and it's coming out of different funds because I think that we're going to run short on the bond.
No, that was the plan all along.
Yeah,
Okay,
it has been in capital outlay the whole
Those were done
time.
prior to the bond.
Okay, the bond here says Wilson, $1 million to redo it. On the capital outlay presented at the work session last time, there is $2.3 million allocated for Wilson. So it's like we're taking money that's supposed to be outlaid in the bond, move it to capital outlay.
Now, what is it? It should have on the 5-year capital outlay that you're talking about there, specifics of.
Wilson remodeled to Board of Education offices. So there's $1.5 million over the 2026 to 2028 years.
Yeah, that's not necessarily HVAC or anything.
No, but that is
That's just,
yeah, part of the bond was making the board offices, I'm sorry, not the board, the administrative offices over to Wilson.
that it was closing, it was moving, I guess in a sense, get it moving out of this building. Yeah, and that decision about as far as spending any money on Wilson hasn't been made. That'll be made in the future.
Yeah.
That's the decision.
Yeah. I think we'll see, but I just noted that I think we're going to be way short on money.
I
Well,
think
it's
so.
with any construction project, I would guess if you ever built anything.
Oh, yeah, the construction lot.
If your project's always had excess money at the end.
But you work that into the initial bid. Like you say, hey, I think this is what it's going to cost, but they're going to have some contingencies for when things go over. A poorly managed project goes way over. And I guess we'll see how this one turns out.
I think whenever you do a construction project, some inflation is to be expected, and I do believe that we factored that into the bond. Like, I remember discussions about that.
We did factor inflation.
I don't think anybody could have adequately planned for the massive inflation that our country has been going through. Now, I do understand like taking some out of the capital outlay to allocate for that. For example, like we do have some shortfalls and there are some things that our kids definitely need. I guess the only question I have is, do you have a plan to help keep us up to date on staying within budget for the future?
Yeah, the question is, we are on budget. I mean, we're not going to be over budget. That is not possible. There's no way to spend more money than
Well, yeah, but then it comes down to what are we cutting and what we were told we were going to get. I mean, I get that unless we pass another bond or take it out some other money or, capital outlay, there's no more money to be spent, but it's going to be at the expense of cutting things.
But I think the plan that we've given you is going to address all those.
Well, no, because I tried to ask you for specifics on like, how do we come to these numbers? And you couldn't come up with an answer when I asked for specifics. Like, they estimated, I guess Naples contract here, they came up with a very precise number for the high school, $104,993,589. So there's a formula that goes into making that.
And we'll meet everything that's in that.
Well, can I see it?
Yeah, and I can tell you it's on board docs. It's
For that price?
Yeah, I mean, it lists out like this is what we're going to spend on the architects, on concrete, on everything.
So I think one thing that we talk about expenses of construction, but you also didn't estimate interest rates would be where they are. So we have faith in Chris in investing that money properly too. Because we never thought we'd look at 5.5% interest rate again on a money market account. Not just talking certificates, you're talking about regular checking investment funds. So those things too, we didn't allocate for that are better. So Chris, I mean, you could fill us in on those investments too that we go through.
So we do quarterly with 5%, that we do re-estimate what the interest earnings are, and they are up again. We do get capped at some point based on the arbitrage rate. Basically, because the Fed's set a limit on how much you can make, but we will, the interest revenue estimates are up again this month, or this quarter.
So if you meet that, you just stop getting interest? What do you
Yeah,
got on that?
well, you continue to draw the interest, but then you end up,
Giving
through
it-
the arbitrage calculation, you have to write a check back to the Feds for anything over the arbitrage rate.
So not back to cutting the bond down, just back to them?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything else?
Now, if you want to continue.
I have a question about Roosevelt. You
Yep.
said that the demolition is taken, we just replaced and redid a lot, put in new cabinets and redid that office. Are we saving those? You said demolition, are we taking those and keeping those for maybe use somewhere else because they're brand new?
The cabinets, yeah, I'm sure they're probably reserved. I don't necessarily know if we have a spot in the current Roosevelt building for them.
But maybe somewhere in the district we could use those because they're new.
Yeah, they were custom built for that office, so they're, might be difficult to place anywhere else.
It just, I just hope they either are sold or at least get some value out of them instead of just thrown in the dumpster because
Sure.
I would appreciate that. And one of the questions was the turf that was, are we selling that or they have a plan for that or is it gone? Did it get destroyed?
I think we have
old-
utilized it in areas with the baseball team, the softball team, I believe. Right? So some of those pieces.
Have the earmarks for
Yeah.
something? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, legislative update. Just want to give you a couple highlights of the legislative. Just, you know, if you've been following it, you're well aware that the funding bill that was proposed in the House and the Senate went to passed in the House. It failed in the Senate. That was last Thursday night. They did go back into a conference committee and they came up with some new details that were submitted, and this was adding $75 million to sped funding, keeping our base state aid with the CPI increase, which was part of the Gannon lawsuit. We would take the 3-year average of the Consumer Price Index, and we see that percentage added to our base state aid, which looks like that is being proposed. We're keeping those requirements for LOB transfers that have already been occurring, and also that excess cost calculation. If you've been following a little bit, they were looking at using our LOB money, our local money, to help calculate meeting that excess cost. It doesn't appear that that's in the bill, which is a good sign. And so it looks, from our perspective, I think it's what has been proposed, although it was not voted on last Thursday. It was late, and so they are coming back to Topeka in about 3 weeks when they do their wrap-up session, I think starting April 25th, and we're hoping that can be approved. Also, just a little bit of an update that maybe could affect us. The enrollment funding calculations for the 24-25 school year are going to be based on the current year, meaning next year's enrollment, or the average of the previous 2 years. But that's only a 1-year deal. Then starting the following year, would be the 25-26 school year, we'll only be able to use the current year enrollment or just the previous year. So districts with declining enrollment or continued declining enrollment, that could be a little bit of a bugaboo.
So this year isn't a change, that's the way it has been, right? With the
No, it will
combination
be a change.
of the two?
It will be a change this year.
Oh, will be. What was it before?
We've never used current year.
Oh, it's always
funding.
been the average of the two or the best of the two?
Yeah, either last year or the year before that.
Whichever. Okay.
So it will be a change for us next year. But if our enrollment goes up, we'll naturally get to count those on the year instead of having to wait a year. Just an update on the school breakfast. I think this is always good. If you remember, the board approved free breakfasts for all students in the school district. That was ways back, but just in recognition of School Breakfast Week, just some updates. The month of February, our nutrition staff served an average of 783 free breakfast meals per day, along with 75 additional Hayes High School students who purchased breakfast items a la carte. So those people who want 2 breakfasts, that's awesome to be in that stage of your life.
Not if you're paying for it.
I love that. That's true. I remember those days, man. You just eat and eat and eat. Never gained weight. For the year, we've seen an increase of approximately 65% in the number of students eating breakfast. We just feel like that's a benefit. We now have more students eating breakfast overall than we've ever had before. We also have seen an increase in the number of breakfasts served to students that also qualify for their free lunch, which naturally they didn't always go get breakfast. They ate lunch, but now they're going to eat breakfast, which is awesome. The increase in state reimbursement has covered the increased food costs, and despite serving more students, the district has not incurred any increased costs with this. Just want to thank all our kitchen staff who have carried the banner and made this happen for our students. Those kitchen staff, they're getting up early every day to make sure our students are eating well, and that we really appreciate that. But it also includes our custodial staff, because that increases their workload. Of course, for breakfast, cleaning up after breakfast, as well as those supervisors who help make sure those cafeterias are clean and safe. And so it's just another great example of everyone working together to really make a positive experience for all our students here in Hayes. So really proud of that and what we worked into that.
I just want to mention from experience, man, give those workers like a big extra thank you, because like in those classrooms, the difference between a student who comes in who has not had breakfast at all and being able to say, hey, run out to the breakfast cart quick, go get a breakfast and fill your bellies, the difference between what they obtain and what is just out the window is astronomical. So it makes a huge impact on their education, and that's really big. So thanks for the work on that.
Thank you. Chris wants to talk about budget republishing.
So as we talked about during the work session, the free lunch count is actually higher than estimated back May, June, a year ago. So we will be republishing. It doesn't affect levies, it doesn't affect taxes at all. Basically what it means is we were able to bring back some of the money that goes to Topeka in the 20 mils that goes directly to Topeka. So this will bring some more of that money back, but in order to do that, even though it doesn't impact levies or taxes or anything, in order to do that, we do have to publish it, and then we will have a budget hearing. So on Wednesday in the Hayes Daily, the notice of hearing will go out, and then on April 22nd, we'll have the budget hearing to amend and increase our spending authority out of general fund. We'll have a little bit of an increase in the at-risk fund and the PK to the preschool at-risk funds also. Those aren't new money. That goes to the general fund first, and then we transfer over there.
So the money will go into at-risk?
Some of it will.
Okay, what is the rest of it?
Some of it will go pre-K at-risk, some of it we'll use in general fund also.
Is it earmarked for something, or you don't have to put that in the budget?
No. Right, the budget process is simply to get the authority to receive and then spend the money.
But if it's at-risk money, it has to be spent on those items that it's
Because, yeah, so we're increasing what we're receiving. It's due to free lunches, but we already spent way more than what we received in at-risk funds. So we have a minimum transfer from general fund to at-risk. If we didn't already transfer more than what was required, we would have to, then every bit of it would have to go directly to at-risk. But we already take more general fund into the at-risk fund to cover different services there than what we're above our minimum required transfer, so it doesn't all necessarily have to go there.
Thank you.
And also, just on my last item, just a second year in a row, our district received the Best Communities for Music Education from the NALM Foundation. Other Kansas school districts who also received this recognition were Manhattan, Olathe, Topeka, and Wichita. This is received for outstanding support of music education and enriching the lives of children and advancing student achievement. So congratulations for that award. So just want to share that. And that's all I have.
Mr. Wilson?
Yeah.
I have a question or comment. The negotiation starts Thursday,
Yes.
and then at the work session, I assume we sent our letter,
Yes.
and then I'm pretty sure we asked at the work session to get a copy of that, and
I believe you have a copy.
where would I find that? Did you?
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you had that. So
Also, did you, one of those negotiated items was already on there. Did you,
what's that?
the one about the step 6, they had already been negotiated, and that's no longer in the contract.
Yes, but there is still a cap in the agreement.
Can you tell me where, because I could not find it.
Okay, I'll show you after the meeting.
Thank you.
Did anybody else receive
It came in the schedule of events, I believe. That's why I thought you had.
from Jess then?
I thought-
It's in that Board of Education,
Yeah.
Education's email.
Yeah, that's where I thought it was.
I
Yeah.
think it's in there.
Somebody can show me when we're done at the
Yeah, I
meeting.
can show you.
Please, thank you.
But I can forward. I thought you had it, so that's.
It didn't come directly.
Okay.
If it's in a group band somewhere, I don't know.
Okay, we can get it.
I'd
I can get it
appreciate
to you right here in a minute or two.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that it? All right.
That's it.
Okay. Well, then we will go on to action discussion items. 6.1, Neighborhood Revitalization Plan Resolution.
So good evening. I'm Jared Kuckelman, the Management Analyst for the City of Hayes. So I am here to talk to you about a resolution to expand the Neighborhood Revitalization Plan, or NRP. So a lot of this information you'll see tonight I did present to you back in January, but I do want to kind of just review and refresh it so we all kind of remember and know what we're talking about. So some background. Hayes first established the NRP back in 2002, and it's been updated a few different times since then, but the most recent was in 2017. So the NRP works as an incentive by providing property tax rebates for 10 years to property owners who make improvements that raise the assessed values of their property. The point of this is to encourage new construction or the rehabilitation and redevelopment of existing properties that might not otherwise have occurred. As the NRP is currently structured, residential properties are required to make a minimum $25,000 investment to receive the 65% property tax rebate, and commercial properties are required to make a minimum of $50,000 investment to receive a 95% rebate. So one of the most critical factors in NRP eligibility is location within or outside the defined area. So on the left, you'll see the expansion map that was used in 2017. And then on the right is the proposed expansion map for today with the expanded area shown in blue. So while the expansion in 2017 was kind of drawn to reflect the build out of the city in 1965, the map for today has been drawn to reflect much of the build out of Hayes in 1980. So I did show these examples last time, but I do think they're helpful to show to kind of remind everyone how the NRP has been a part of some successful projects in recent years. A major example is the liquor store that is now open at the corner of Vine Street and 8th. There's also the Fort Tavern and Bar, which utilized NRP in remodeling from the old Wild Rose. A residential example is at 211 East 17th Street, which had its original building demolished and then redeveloped with a new duplex. And then lastly, at the site of 7th and Oak is a residential example where a new apartment building was built. So there are a few reasons why an NRP expansion is being proposed now. The expansion in 2017 was meant to capture many properties throughout the city that were approximately 50 years old, and because of this would theoretically be ripe for renovation and redevelopment. So now that a few years have passed since that time, some of the areas throughout the city that have aging properties has grown that are outside the NRP eligible areas. And this, because of this, the current map has been drawn to reflect the build out of the city in 1980. There are many residential and commercial properties across the city, especially throughout the northern areas of Hayes, that could potentially benefit from an expansion like this, including some of the areas along North Vine, which are not tax increment financing or TIF eligible. So this is an important incentive potentially for those properties. And as discussed last time, this proposed expansion has been designed to kind of preemptively include many properties that may not yet be 50 years old, but will soon be approaching that age. And this could kind of help prevent the need for multiple future expansion efforts and needing to come before you with resolutions every few years asking for an expansion. And then finally, a reason to consider an expansion now is that increasing the number of eligible properties can potentially also increase awareness and popularity of the incentive. This was seen kind of after the expansion in 2017, so hopefully something similar would happen here. Besides changing the eligible area, a couple small changes are being proposed to the official neighborhood revitalization plan guidelines and application process that I'll just quickly make you aware of. First, we're proposing increasing the application fee for NRP from $100, which is what it's been for many years, almost since the beginning, to $200 to reflect the work that goes into administering the rebates. The other change being proposed is changing the rebate formula for properties on the National or State Historic Registry from a 100% rebate to 95% to align with what percentages already received by commercial properties and help provide some consistency on the administrative side of things for that. So I'm here before you today as part of the process that's required to amend the NRP. Public hearing has already been held by the City Commission, offering residents a chance to speak on the program, and at that time, no comments were offered. The City Commission and the County Commission have both already passed a resolution adopting the proposed changes that I've discussed here. As I mentioned the last time I spoke before you, resolutions are required by the governing bodies of the county and school district in addition to the city due to the fact that all three entities participate in the NRP program by contributing their share of property taxes to the rebates through an interlocal agreement. And then I do always like to remind everyone that the NRP works as an incentive as a rebate. It's not an exemption. So it's similar to TIF in that no entity, either the school district or the city or the county, give up any existing revenues. It's just the incremental increase on property values that goes towards the rebate based on the rebate formula percentages that I shared earlier. So I'll ask you tonight to consider adopting the resolution that would approve the proposed changes, and I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Any questions?
Is there any projections of how that affects our district and the revenue that we will get?
So
percentage-wise?
The numbers that we've seen show that about $80,000 per year across both the county, school district, and the city goes towards rebates throughout the whole city. And so in terms of dividing that up by what the share is, it would just be about, so the school district of the overall mill levy that goes towards the rebate is about 40%. So whatever, about 40% of $80,000, I think is about $32,000. So
it's a cut now, but 10 years from now it'll be
exactly. That's the theory behind the incentive, is that by redeveloping the properties now, once the rebates go away, then you have that increase in revenue. And it is important to note that even on the incremental increase, it's not 100% of that incremental increase going to the rebates. It's just the percentage based on whether it's commercial or residential.
Is 80,000, is that yearly?
That's an average over the past years from 2017. So it could be more or less, depending on how many properties are participating.
Over how many years?
That's numbers going back to about 2017 when the last expansion was done. And so there's more participating now than prior to that because the area is bigger, there's been more applicants.
So So I'll make a motion to approve the amended neighborhood revitalization plan resolution that includes the eligible boundary for the neighborhood revitalization area.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. We've asked questions, had discussion, and so I'm going to ask for all those in favor to vote yes. Yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, vote no. All right, it passes. Thank you. All right. Then we will go on to 6.2, student support specialist positions.
Okay, tonight we're asking the board to consider approval of 2 elementary student support specialist positions. These positions will be added to Laughlin and Roosevelt Elementaries starting with the next school year. These 2 elementary schools are our largest. We'll have our largest student enrollment next year based on estimates, and we feel like that additional support that will help with a list of things that come with just needing additional support at school. We do have a plan to assist at Wilson with some internal staffing of a person who works for our district who will work out of Wilson and will provide support with the same purpose. And we just feel like this will help facilitate some student success and growth if we have some more support, as well as some help with some academic and interpersonal skills. And we just feel like this is a good plan and will help some of our elementary schools.
I have a question.
Yes.
When Lincoln shuts down in the future, Carrie Lacey will be going to Roosevelt, correct?
Yes.
So will we no longer need that support staff at Roosevelt?
Yeah, that would go away.
So when,
Unless we determine that, it's something that is needed with,
So Roosevelt has a possibility of 1 year. Is what you're saying?
Roosevelt, is that what you said?
Roosevelt's, this position would have a possibility of being 1 year.
Possibly, yes. Possibly.
Well, we might discover at the same time that the current person using flexibility in the schedule, like you said.
Yeah, this is not an administrative
No.
position, although they will serve in some administrative capacities.
But the job description and some of their duties are administrative, and
Yeah. But
like administrative
they would not be
support?
considered administrative.
I understand that, but some of their duties are.
Are they on their current salary schedule and will stay that or
Yeah.
placed on that?
Yeah.
So these will be opened up to the whole district and
Yeah. And
process?
outside as well, if we don't fulfill within.
So, and we'll meet the obligation of the negotiated agreement, at least 5 days. And so these haven't been assigned yet. How about our budget? We're adding 2 positions. Are we going to be okay?
Based on enrollment, state steady, and the fact that there's planned increases in base state aid next year, yes.
Our class sizes will be where they're at now because we're putting in 2 new teachers. We're not going down in the number of teachers we have.
No, we'll replace the, if it's filled within, we would, are you asking if a teacher takes this position?
Our class size is going to go up because of this.
No, it wouldn't affect class sizes.
Okay. We're still keeping the same number of sections.
Same number.
Unless attrition shows that we need to.
Right. Like we did this year, we closed some because we could keep our class size minimums by reducing a section. So we have looked at that, and so these positions will be added knowing that there are some room to reduce. We had talked about, we looked at the big picture of financial and where we are.
Has those class sizes changed much as far as people moving in or anything? Are they all pretty much the same?
Because we look at that throughout the year, and we get to a point where we suspect that might be, we close it then, knowing there's other places where new families can go. And so we close it early enough so we're not reacting, but trying to be proactive. So that's how we handle that.
And so far, we haven't seen much change with the closing of Lincoln. People choosing not to go there. We're having to drop there. I mean, there's not that much difference right now between O'Laughlin and Wilson. Was it 30 or 40 students in
Right,
one
and
class?
that's why we'll have an internal person who will help support Wilson this year. And if that person, if we find that's difficult, then that person who's at Roosevelt can go to Wilson. That's why we're going with 2 instead of 3 largest elementary. Now our network can get close as there's assistance with Mrs. Lacey at Roosevelt. Then we have those 2 behavior support that can go to our next 2 biggest schools, which would be O'Laughlin and Wilson.
So we've added some social workers and counselors. Who's going to be internal?
Oh, that says it on our paperwork.
Our MTSS coach.
MTSS coach.
It's in your packet.
Yeah.
So we're not going to replace that person, or is this going to be added duties for that person?
She is going to work out of Wilson.
So with that, she's really busy, like calendar-wise, when we have day-to-days or different times throughout the year. And then instead of working like from an office here, having an office there or space to work, then allows for that flexibility to be supported there. So that was an idea that was presented to us, actually from the person, and thought that was a good fit. And it helped fill that hole, so we're excited about that. And we're excited about these positions because if you looked at the description, it may not be an educator. I mean, they could be someone who has behavioral experience from the outside, so we're just really trying to keep that open. And it's not really about the credentials as much as the best fit and the right hire to work with students and help them be successful in all the areas that we work to do that.
But they need to be certified?
You need to be licensed and have a certification, but it could be not a teacher.
So like what kind of certifications? Like a license?
Elementary, if these are going to be, they have to have an elementary.
They're not teaching, so they don't need to be teachers, so they could be behavior support. I don't know all the other license credentials that are out there, but because they're not teaching, they don't need to be a teacher. And it's not an administrator position, so they don't need to have building leadership. So we just want to keep those options open to look at who might be the best fit.
All right. Do I hear a motion?
I would move to approve these positions starting for the 24-25 school year as presented.
I second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, vote no. All right, hearing no no's.
Oh, no.
What's that?
No.
Okay. Jess, does it pass?
Motion passes.
Okay. Motion passes, and so we will move on
Mr.
to...
Brooks, can I ask what the vote was?
Sure. It was 6-1.
6-1. Thank
You want
you.
me to read you?
Nope. Thank you.
All right, 6.3, Hayes Middle School mascot discussion. Mr. Wilson? Oh, yeah, I didn't know if you had anything for this.
That was me.
Yeah.
We had talked about a little bit at the work session at the last meeting, and there were some questions that I had that I would like to discuss. Like, by no means, I received a bunch of emails today. This was not meant to be sneaky, and I am so sorry if it felt that way. I just had questions, and this is the place to discuss them. So I guess the previous board voted to keep them the Falcons, and I was just wondering what the discussion was about that.
Jamie, to be clear, the vote was 3-3 because there was a board member not here, so it didn't pass, it didn't fail.
Got it.
Okay? No change. This is no change.
I did send out several emails to middle school and high school staff and parents asking for their feedback, and until today, so let's just talk before today, every single email that I got, except one, was in support of being the same as the high school. Then today, I was overwhelmed with a bunch of not support for that, and I understand, that's why I want to make it clear I was not trying to be sneaky in any way. I just wanted discussion to be open about it. So I'm just curious what our feelings are, what our thoughts are on changing the middle school to be the same as the high school and things around that area.
Well, my feelings are one community, one campus. And as a wife of an American Indian, I find it disheartening when you can't use Indian as it's considered racist. My family is very proud of their heritage of being an American Indian. And my husband will say it over and over and over again. He's an American Indian. So I find that disheartening when people find that racist or misreading it, misrepresenting it. As far as the school itself goes, our obligation is to the taxpayers of this city. And unifying that, you're on the same campus. I just don't see. I went to Roosevelt Elementary, I went to Felton Middle School, not Hayes Middle School, and Hayes High School. Attended all three. Not once in my life have I come back when somebody asked me where I attended school, do I say Felton Middle School. God bless the teachers who have the passion for Felton Middle School, Hayes Middle School, that teach there. I respect that. I respect your passion for it. But as far as a taxpayer, and as far as the district uniting as one campus, one unit, I believe that us becoming Hayes Indians, there's no Indian mascot, it's an H. We've said it over and over and over again. The high school right now looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. If you haven't been there, go see it. As far as moving them forward, again, I can say, you were changing the colors, if I remember anyway, to Hayes High colors. So the only thing you're doing is you're costing more because you want to change the Falcon. Well, now you can't make the Falcon black and white. You got to change him too. So there's expense there. There's uniforms. There's stationery. There's everything. When you just have one stationery of Hayes Indians, it doesn't have to say middle school. It doesn't have to. I mean, you can go on and on and on about how we can save. One bus, when you pull into Garden City, Kansas, it says Hayes Indians or Hayes Schools or Hayes Unified School District. It doesn't have to be that the middle school used the high school bus or whatever it is that we do, but you're unifying us as one community because we're one campus. I just picture like when I went to the opening Friday at the baseball field, I felt so proud of those colors that were there. And unifying us as one unit. When Garden City pulled on, I can't imagine how they felt. I wish we had this. Just being proud of where we come from as far as that. As far as the mascot goes, again, I'll say it again and again and again, you can't erase history. I won't go there as far as that goes, but I mean, you asking us to erase our heritage as American Indians, to me, is very offensive because you want to eliminate us. I'm not an American Indian, but my family is. My children are. And I am proud that they are. And I don't find anything wrong as far as that goes. So the only thing I have seen different is the only ones who have come forward to me that are against it are the teachers that are currently at the school. Again, commend your spirit. I commend you being supportive of that. As far as being a middle school child, the high school kids that I've visited with don't even think about it being middle school or being that they're left out or forgotten. They're you know, when you ask them where do you go to school, they say HHS. They say HMS. They don't say I'm a Felton Falcon or whatever it is, or HMS Falcon. It's your. I just don't understand why we couldn't be one unit and save all that taxpayer money.
In terms of the staff members at the middle school, I reached out specifically to some staff members that made a transition from Kennedy Middle School to Hayes Middle School, because that was about 10, 15 years ago. I think I was in college when that happened. I attended Kennedy. They were the Irish, when the staff made that transfer and when the students made that transfer, the board at the time had assured all of those staff and students that there would be a rebranding at Hayes Middle School. It would not be Felton Falcons, because at the time they were rivals. So for all of those kids and staff members that had to go there, that was kind of a shock to their system, and then it never happened, and they had to stay the Falcons. And I mean, I just felt like those staff members and those students were not heard when, you know, there was that discussion of, hey, we're going to change it, and then nothing ever did. Now, I'm not saying changing is the right thing or the wrong thing. Like, really, this discussion is really important. I do have a question, and this is not like an opinionated question or anything. The state did come out in 2022 giving a phase-out plan, requesting or suggesting that all Kansas high schools phase out. They had 5 years to do so to get their Indian mascots to go away. If they follow through on that and we go to one campus, how much is it going to cost then? And is that something we're willing to talk about?
Well, when the Capitol takes down the Indian at the top of the Capitol building, then we can talk about that discussion in the future.
And
But
I
in-
think it was a suggestion as well.
Yeah, but
Not a
until
mandate. It's not a mandate.
Yeah, it was a suggestion.
Suggestion. I would like to comment too. I think if we're going to have one campus, it's one campus, not two campuses. I agree with the bus. If I'm going to be represented from the school district and you're a Falcon and you're getting off of a Hayes High Indian or an Indian bus, I have issues with that. That's not who you are when you load and you leave. Hopefully we're going to share staff, and you should all be one. Parents, I'm going to have a middle school on it. I would like to wear the same shirt. And if my kids are moving through, that would be wise in my opinion as well. Also, back when we had this first discussion on the 3-3 vote, I know the branding survey was fourth, the same name.
For a shared mascot.
For the same shared mascot, same mascot. And I think if we're going to the one campus, it makes sense, sharing uniforms, sharing equipment. I think there's more cost than just paint.
Yeah, and I don't think the discussion of uniforms is a good discussion to have, mainly because uniforms are going to phase out anyways. That's going to be a cost we're going to have one way or another.
No, but
So I
if we're
don't think that's
buying, if we're buying a bigger allotment with the same colors, the same brand, from the same, maybe we get a better deal.
Same helmets.
And if we got a kid that wrestles and he's a big, then we don't have to buy another uniform because we grab one down from back and forth.
Now, I can't see everyone. Do we have the middle school?
Hi, Tom. Can you come up? Oh, Mr. Rep as well.
Y'all sat in the back. I couldn't see you.
That's where I always sit. Yeah, far away.
Questions?
Have you heard one way or another, do you feel a specific way? What direction do you think would best benefit your staff and students?
Well, I would say that when we started the process and we went to a whole committee, they asked me that question. And back then, the conversation we had was brave and true was the model piece that we were starting with. So my statement was, if you're going to be an Indian for the high school, because it's brave and true, it doesn't seem like it's brave and true if we're not Indians at the middle school. You know, we're not, that's defying the logic of brave and true. But I also said, I understand the other side of it, it's the board decision piece of that. At that time, I'll let Bruce speak for a minute. Bruce went around and surveyed our staff just to see what they wanted, just kind of want to get a tally. I don't think we've done it this year because we didn't even know this was happening, but it was overwhelmingly, what was the percentage? 87% of the staff were in favor of doing the Indian piece. But again, it wasn't going to happen, so that was it.
That matches the surveys that we did for parents in the community. It was 85% that wanted a unified mascot. I remember a few things. You said finances was important, a unity, the scoreboards, the pads behind all that stuff is already there. It's already got the colors and that doesn't need to be replaced. I know there's things on the walls and stuff like that that eventually might be in the floor, will be eventually changed anyway because of the annual maintenance of the gym floor. So that really doesn't matter. And I know that you're going to be smart about the colors. You've got black, which is fine right now, and then when they wear out, you'll go to maroon. So that's already been decided. One of the biggest things that we decided as a board was that we were going to go with the name and the history of Felton Elementary School. So that's been a change. I mean, we voted on that. I think it was unanimous for that. So if you go with the history that they're talking about, Felton Falcons, that's been that way, and you've got Wilson kids and Lincoln kids. The Wilson Warriors and the Lincoln Leopards are going to be moving on to Felton Falcons Elementary. So to me, that makes sense, and there's all the beautiful murals and stuff on the wall. They could stay at Hayes Middle School to now the elementary school. The family thing that was brought up, that a parent can buy things when they're in middle school and they can wear them all the way through because that hasn't changed. So I think that's a benefit. The one campus is important. I think, like I mentioned, the bus, the identity of getting off the bus, it says the Indians, so it just makes sense. Oh, the other thing that was mentioned is that the majority of high schools and middle schools with one have the same mascot, like Great Bend, Panthers, middle school, they're the same. And so it's only the schools that have two middle schools, and we don't have that anymore. So to me, that just makes sense. I think most of the Kansas schools that have one and one are the same mascot, which makes sense. So they have that unity for the whole community. So those are all good points that I think that, and the changes that have happened in the last year, that this is great to have a discussion and talk about it so we can move forward, because that was one of the things, timing is important. So.
I'll let Bruce speak, but this is good timing in the sense that we do have to start ordering uniforms because he does a good job of maintaining them, but we're on like your rotation now. So we have kind of rotate out again.
Yeah, because I know my daughter's a cheerleader and they have to order new uniforms because they have the gold and it's the color changed to the yellow. So they're in the process of doing that right now that it matches. So the uniforms are going to change, but if we can change and share, why can't we do it all as one? Because, and you guys know better, Bruce, do we actually have on like the football uniforms, does it say Indians or does it say Hayes?
We've been going Hayes only because we weren't sure what we'd be. Well, the other thing is we put Falcons, they don't know where we're from.
Yeah.
So we're putting our town just so that way they know where we're from.
So you can have that at the middle school and high school, same color, same unit.
The big thing that Mr. Lyer mentioned was sharing equipment. The biggest thing we can share are things like singlets or helmets or headgear for wrestling, those things that are pretty neutral, we can share. And occasionally we'll get a kid that's too big for our equipment that will borrow from high school, a lot easier, it's the same color. In the past, we had to borrow from Fort Hayes or somewhere else in black.
We already determined that we would be the same colors. So
Correct.
that's not, I mean,
Correct.
that's the same.
But the logo would be the same when you fly.
So how soon would you need a decision, Bruce, because of ordering uniforms for?
Well, for me, to be honest, so right now I have money I can hoard and I have money I can't hoard. I have to spend. That's downtown. And so right now I have 4 orders in place, but I can't complete the order because I'm not sure what Mascot is. So I've been waiting on this decision. So the sooner the better. It's not Mr. Rick, they're stealing money I'm not spending.
What is that deadline? May 1st, or is it April 25th? Or?
Originally it was April 22nd, but I think I was going to get an extension if it got critical.
I think if a conversation takes a little bit longer, I would advocate for an extension for you.
And do you purchase those local?
All lines through BSN, is who our rep is, John Ritter, for BSN, who also does Fort Hayes and Hayes High.
That's all the questions I had. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks to both of you.
Does anyone have anything else to add to the conversation?
I would like to hear I'm really happy to hear about the survey results. I would like to hear from, community members, if they have an opinion one way or another. I want to be respectful of all cultures. And so, like, if we do have part of the indigenous community that would give us our feedback and how they feel about it, I would be really appreciative. I would also really like to find out, like, if we are representing the Indians, are our students learning about the culture? Are they making sure that they are respectful? Are they learning, about the local tribes? And I think that's really valuable information one way or the other. That's all I have.
And they did have that committee, and there were Native Americans on that committee as well. That my husband said that their opinions were voiced as far as that went, of what they, and not one of them said that they found it racist or putting them down or whatever they say, but.
I was on the committee and I heard that perspective, and I really appreciate the family story, and I know your family to be excellent.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I also, now, these days, one of the things that I do for a living is study abuse. And one of the things that makes it really easy for a person to harm another person is to turn them into an object. And that's what mascots are. They're a symbol. They're not a person anymore. And that's why when it was split, and so the combination didn't pass, that's why maintaining what we had so that people could take time and students can grow up and make decisions later, but to set some things consistently across the board so it looks the same, has a unified space, has a motto that's real and good. Right? It's good, brave and true, the motto, our intent when this was established. That's not being called into question. But to set the scene for people to do well later, to do differently if they wish. If an order comes downward to say, you know what, you just can't play sports because the activities commission decides that, or whatever it is, if it's federal, if it's state, if it's anything like that. I don't want our kids to be disadvantaged. I don't want $75,000 spent again on this. It isn't just, it's happening now regardless. It's gonna happen now. Like, we're gonna spend $75,000 on these things, a lot of these things. Letterhead, because people are moving. We want people to get their mail. We have to have different things printed on them. We're gonna have different signage. We're gonna have all of these things that are gonna be maroon and gold, but they're gonna be new. And so to set the stage so that we can give it time and give it respect, and like I said before, let the kids decide for themselves. They're going to be the grown-ups soon. They've been growing up with this conversation, and that's okay.
So
that was my piece. I'm happy with the decision to unify with color and motto, put brave and true on all our buses, and say that's what Hayes is. That's what Hayes is. I appreciate the inconvenience of having two different symbols. And then now having to come up with another symbol, which I did not even think of when we decided on Felton. That's also valid. Did not have that anywhere on my radar. So, bless. That's it. That's all I have to say.
All right, here's what I'm going to suggest we do. Because we know we can defer any decision, let's go ahead and come back at our next meeting and come back with the information that Jamie has asked for, and hopefully that'll be a good time for us to finish this discussion, and let's just do it that way if we're all good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll bring it to the next meeting, and because there was no plan here for a vote, and it sounds like the public would like a little more time to make anything known to us, so let's do it that way. All right.
So, Mr. President, I'd like to move that we table this discussion at the next meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to table this till next meeting. All those in favor vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed vote no. All right. It'll take just a minute to put that in there.
Now, just so we're being clear, we're tabling
A discussion.
A discussion,
about
the mascot.
the mascot or the joining of the mascots?
All the above.
Yeah, that's the way I would put it too. The overall discussion.
Okay.
In which Mr. Brooks' vote could take place.
It could,
Yeah.
yes.
Now if you refresh, it should be there.
Okay. Refresh our computers.
So Alan made the motion, who's second?
I did.
Ruth.
Yeah, you can vote on that.
All right. So our next discussion item is superintendent's evaluation discussion. And I will start by saying this was asked to be put on here. We just finished our superintendent's evaluation. If you go off our policy, it's not time for the discussion when we just recently finished, but I'm going to ask Mr. Park what exactly you want to discuss here.
Well, in previous meetings, it was mentioned that the item be put on future agenda.
Which we did. Yeah, because we just finished the evaluation as the new board started.
Right. And which I said it had not been put on it at this time. KASB, Kansas, which is the Kansas Association of School Boards, and the Kansas Association of Superintendents, or Superintendent Association, and USA all came together and have developed a different superintendent evaluation. Ours has been developed by board members and has been tweaked each time. And even 4 years ago, it was sent out and they said they had some suggestions for us, but we chose not to, and we kept pushing that down the road. Because Mr. Wilson has been here, he only has 1 year, and you evaluate all throughout the year. And there's a process that shows, starting in January, steps to go through all the way until it's time to do the evaluation, by gathering data, getting information, having discussions with the superintendent. And so for us just to continue to use the same process without exploring different options doesn't make sense. They have piloted that new one. I mean, just to get a conversation, invite them out here to explain what they have. I attended their, last summer they had a superintendent workshop that was online, so I watched that. I also did it when they had it at the KSB conference, and I've heard different discussion about that. It's just something that we didn't need to do to be proactive, is to start and to look at it. Waiting when we can start, when we're already missing different dates and deadlines on that cycle that they're supposed to do. I would disagree that just taking 8 weeks at the end of the year is appropriate evaluation process. We don't do that with teachers. There's different things that we can do differently, and we need to be learning about that. And so this could be something we could ask people to kind of talk about it. We've asked, waiting until the end doesn't make sense to me. Right now is the time to do it, and we need to start the process.
So Ellen, are you looking at a process like moving forward, like we do it like every 6 months? What is it?
I think we should just listen and look at that cycle that they have. I mean, it's already done.
You're telling us, none of us have seen this that you're talking about, so.
I think Mr. Viner showed
I sent it to you.
Oh, it said,
Yes.
okay. And that was after
Yeah,
the
Mr.
evaluation?
Brooks.
Yes, sir.
Do we have another work session, don't we, planned?
I believe we do.
August.
Oh, not till August, yeah.
I would propose this, Mr. Brooks, that we have a workshop soon, invite KSAB to come and present, so we can have new ideas and we can have an evaluation with a calendar and other items that probably can make that evaluation of more value. And therefore, because, well, you know, we have, every time we've had this evaluation, we've had squabbles here and there about, you know, the goals and not goals. But, you know, if we devise one as a board, then hopefully a lot of these issues could go away.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. You know, the first year we came up with the superintendent's job description because it wasn't in here. But we do go by the policy, which states an annual review, and then we do follow the time schedule that's on that. This time schedule from KASB we can look at, and I agree, maybe at a work session that would be the appropriate time for us to discuss this.
My complaint with the current one is we have seven evaluations, and it is to the interpretation of one individual to say what they want to say from those 7, and that speaks for all 7 of us. Probably isn't what all 7 have to say, and there's some things that I would like on there that never get put on there that I think are of value. But if we had this workshop, I think we could iron that out. Who does what and how it is done.
Okay.
We just approved to be part of KSB again, and so that's one of their services we should take advantage of.
Okay. All right, so for a future work session, and maybe it'll be one that we do as a special work session, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. So we will look at that. Anything further on this?
What the board's thinking about? Like during the day, I mean, are we going to, just want some guidelines, whoever's going to be talking to KSB to find out when it can be scheduled.
Yeah, well, if they can attend.
And how soon?
Yeah, how soon?
You know, with this being brought up out of the blue right here, this isn't something, I'll talk with Mr. Wilson and we'll.
It's pretty flexible.
Yeah.
If it works for the next meeting or following meeting.
I think it probably needs to be a separate meeting.
And a work session type meeting, I do too. But apparently we can easily schedule it. So I'll talk to Mr. Wilson and we'll talk to KASB and get something scheduled soon.
I know my schedule's a little bit free than some of the other people, so just have input to whether it fits in their schedule so everybody can attend.
All right. Well, I'll send out an email to get that.
Thank you.
All right, then we will go on to Hayes High School bathrooms discussion. And so before we begin that, let me state that we did go over the plans. The plans were approved last year. Lengthy discussions many times. What more did you need on this?
Well, like I put on there, there's been a lot of discussion, community members, where I go, I get people said, what's happening with that? So we requested it be on the agenda. We have not had it on the agenda to be able to have a discussion with the board.
Well, the high school plans were on the agenda. That's the discussion.
I don't think we've approved the plans.
Mr. Brooks,
yeah.
I do not remember, nor do I think we have ever approved a plan. Well, I almost know for a fact we've approved a budget.
That's the plan.
We have not approved
You
plans.
approved the GMP for 104.
Also, Mr. Brooks, this is what I got for these drawings on a PDF, and I have to pull them up 10 times that I asked for. This is the best I got to try to figure out where things are at. I think we ought to have good visuals where we can actually see what's going on, and I would appreciate that we all know what's going on, and to make a high-quality diagram of what we can see and where they're at. And especially the bathrooms. Because the best I can come from cutting and pasting, it's not a normal bathroom on an academic floor. And the normal boys, girls bathrooms are in public areas, in the auditorium and in the gymnasium. And if this is such a great idea, then why isn't the public that comes to our ball games and to our performances have the same bathrooms in the whole building? And until we can see, everybody can see it and everybody knows, and nobody knows what's going on because we got little squinty things if you got them. I think we need to see and know what's in that building, and I don't think we do.
Yeah, and I would agree with, you know, and I'm new to the board as far as this goes. I did watch the meetings in regards to it, and due to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, I do think we need to show the public, we can just view the bathroom section of how it's going to be laid out. Is there absolutely no talk of still separating girls and boys? You know, I still think that's a lot of concern, even if they're individual bathrooms, why can't we still mark them? One of my concerns is you know, there'll have to be a sanitary napkin station in those, so you're going to have it in all if we're going to share. That's also an additional expense to the district. Those types of things, I think if we just open it out, I think that's all we have to talk about is the bathroom. I don't think we need to go into detail. I don't want everybody to know where every nook and cranny in the high school is for protection of our kids, and having that public out there, that terrifies me to death with active shooters and whatnot. But I think if we just expose the bathroom and just give people peace of mind, even depending on what our decision is, I think just exposing it out there of this is the way it's going to be, and maybe invite our contractor again, of saying this is exactly what it looks like. He can even draw us a picture maybe, so we have a visual of it. That would be my suggestion. But you do continuously get, and I'm new to the board, and I continuously get questions about the bathroom. Nothing else as far as the school goes. It's mainly the bathroom.
But I would appreciate that every school board member has a solid copy of those bathrooms, where they're located and their designs, so that we can answer questions to the public so that we're all in the know.
So I do have a couple of questions. These gender neutral bathrooms are 33% of the bathrooms, correct?
Not according to my drawings. Are you counting numbers or locations?
Bathrooms. I don't know. I was told that they are 33% of the school building bathrooms.
But I will tell you,
It's
but they're all in about
he
two,
actually
they're
said
about.
the opposite of 51. It's
Jamie?
less than half.
Total
49.
bathroom count, if you want to go by toilets, 54% are non-shared and 46% are shared.
Okay, so
What do you mean by
But the-
shared and
but the-
non-shared?
but
Because
the-
that's new vocabulary again.
Shared.
Shared meaning gang bathrooms?
No.
no, like the private gender neutral bathrooms would be shared, non-shared would
Shared
be-
with a shared sink.
But the
Okay.
problem is where they're located.
Where are
and
they
the number.
located?
That's why I would like to draw. Because I cannot find them in the academic halls.
Sean, you want to respond? You know where they're at?
Where the private bathrooms are, where
So they're,
the private bathrooms are in the academic areas, yes, that's correct. There's like 4 outside of social studies and English, 4 in math and science, 4 in like individuals, yeah.
I would appreciate the drawings to show me.
I agree.
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the same thing that you have.
There's better drawings out there.
Please blow them up and make them big so I can see.
Trim all big.
Why are these such an issue? Like genuine concern. I respect all of you wholeheartedly. I do. Why is it this that we're focusing on? Why is I have other things about the bond that I'm not thrilled about. The private bathrooms to me are accessible for students with mobility issues. They're a nice venue for, like, if a teacher has a student that's been spending way too much time in that bathroom, speaking from experience, I can't go into the guy's bathroom and get him out. I have to disrupt another class or an administrator to get a mail to go empty the bathroom and find the guy. Like, I don't, in my heart of hearts, I do not believe nefarious things are going to happen in these bathrooms. They are going to be like a foot by like 2 feet. There's no way. If nefarious things are going to happen, they're going to happen anywhere else. And probably, I mean, high schoolers, right? Like, I don't think these bathrooms are going to change who your children are. That's your job as parents, to teach your children how to be. And if these bathrooms go against your morals, and if these bathrooms are a concern for your children, then you talk to your children about it. Because the other children that need them, and the teachers that, God forbid, have to take a poop in peace, I don't understand why these bathrooms are such an uproar. I would love to talk about other things that, listen, I'm not going to bring them up now because I'm already fired up about this, but the bathrooms are just bathrooms.
I agree, Jamie, and I agree. You know, I too, I am in favor of the individual bathrooms. I am. But I think the public needs to know, we just need to put it out there. This is how it is. It's got 4 walls, right? It has a door. And you're going to share a sink. There'll be video cameras outside of it, not inside of the bathroom, is the way I understand it, correct?
And large openings, right? So large openings to the shared area.
Correct.
So there's no hiding.
Yes, and I've looked at it on the website, and that's, the way I understand it is the way I'm visualizing it, that it is individual. So I guess my next concern would be, like I said, marking. Would it be wrong to mark 4 of them girls and 4 of them boys, or 2 and 2, or whatever, because of the feminine issues that girls go through as well is a concern. But at least it's then separated. But again, I like the idea of the private, because you talk to the school nurse and she's ecstatic about it, because she's not booked all the time during the day either, of somebody just wanting privacy. And if it's an issue of our children's safety and concern in those bathrooms, or those bathrooms being exposed, maybe we need to look at more another police officer. You know, you're talking tax dollars there, but if that's a concern, maybe that's where we go. We hire hall monitors. We do those types of things, if that's your concern. I agree with you, Jamie, it starts at home. It's how you raise your children, and it's not the district's responsibility to teach you your kids right and wrong.
And if your child feels uncomfortable, genuinely, I do not know a single teacher who will say, you know what, the gender neutral bathrooms are right next door, you cannot go all the way across. No, teachers will be understanding. Mrs. Getz, I need to use the restroom and I like to go to this bathroom. Man, we already do that because, you know, the freshman bathroom doesn't even work. So yeah, you do have to go across the building. Not a single teacher will throw a stink about that, because it is about every student every day. Even the ones who don't want to use those bathrooms, even the ones who do want to use those bathrooms. It's just an option. It's an option, and I think it's a great option.
It just seems kind of disingenuous that we're talking about parents needing to raise their kids, but yet we just approved hiring 2 new people to monitor kids in school.
That's not what their job is.
Well, it said for behavior issues was the main reason why we were getting the 2 new semi-administrative, staff. I mean, that was during the work session. So I think it's kind of disingenuous to say we need more people to monitor the schools instead of just sending the kids home and have their parents take care of them, which is what we're saying for, this issue.
I get that. The difference in that, to me, is middle school or high school versus elementary school, because these behaviors at the elementary school are at a whole different level. They're trying to stop these behaviors before they become a bigger issue, and these extra people are support staff. And I believe at the work session we also talked about they're not just for disciplinarian, they're also to help in the classroom when the teacher needs them. So I think that's really just an extra label, but you're right. Like, it is a problem, but my opinion is it's a home problem, and I hope the community hears that.
Yeah, and I wanted to just clarify the total bathroom count, but I would say shared area is only 30% of the entire building. When I gave you 54-46, I was talking the learning areas. The auditorium and the locker rooms are all 100%. not shared.
And
So-
Ron, I'm to understand, they are so tiny, one person can only fit in there.
And
Correct?
to your
That's the
comment, Ruth,
accessible
about
one.
labeling them boys, girls, or men, women, I don't necessarily think that's an issue, but that's what will make everyone feel better. It does become a little bit of an issue trying to monitor, to make sure that everyone's using the right bathroom. But, I mean, if that's something that is going to make everyone, I mean, honestly, I would be honest, I kind of agree with Jamie in terms of it. I feel it's kind of sad that we're still focusing on this when we're going to have this fabulous building that's going to be a great learning space for kids. And that's, sometimes I feel that people haven't really just, embraced how great this is.
Well, I think part of the issue is we try to talk about it for a while, at least, coming to meetings, and it was never, I'm sure it's talked about at some point, but once it became an issue in the public, we never actually addressed it after it became a concern to the public. It might have been discussed early on, like before community members got a hold of it.
We did a drive, I've addressed it several times. This is not the first nor the second, probably third, fourth time that we've had pretty extensive conversations about this.
Yeah. And it has been since it became an election cycle hot topic last year. We've discussed
I
it.
think what we have, it's more for the benefit of the student. Understanding privacy is something everyone desires when they go to the bathroom. So it was giving that availability to students. And so that's what we're trying to do.
I still think it makes sense to make one bank of them all male and one bank of them all females, and you're just watching if guys are going into the bank of the female.
Well,
But then the guys have to go all the way to the
yeah,
other way.
that becomes the location and why is.
I got that, but that could have been discussed a long time ago.
Well, I don't think the issue is not necessarily that they're sharing a sink, correct?
Well, no, but it'd be a lot easier if you have one bank with a sink in the middle with cameras to watch and see if only guys are going in and out of there versus, guys and girls and which stall, like that.
Well, I think that's what we can see them go into the door.
Well, you can see
From the we can see.
Yeah, no, I thought, like, the cameras are in there for the bank, and they see, to make sure that not more than one student is going.
Ever.
So I guess.
Does that make sense?
I watched the video, the walkthrough of when the contractors came in, and I saw the video and kind of looked at stuff, but I guess maybe I don't have a clear understanding what this is either. So, I mean, that's kind of disappointing because I tried to look at it, really have.
I was under the impression it was like Kansas City Airport. Do you know the new Kansas City Airport where you walk in and I've had friends go in there and she went in one and her husband went in the other, the traditional doors, and they didn't even know they were in the same bathroom until they were washing their hands.
Yeah, this is way more open than that because the teachers on the other side of the hallway would be able to see all the way, more than half.
My understanding.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the opening is probably similar to these two doors.
So you can watch
There's a 10-foot opening on either side.
Yeah.
And then on
It's actually very similar to Kansas City.
Okay.
Mr. Brooks, I think as the discussion happens, I don't think we all know what the door widths are because we're still discussing and discovering. I would prefer a good presentation with good drawings at the next board meeting.
I think one of the questions too was that it was less expensive, and I'd like to have the details on that, why it's cheaper than going to more traditional. The other thing is, it is out of the norm. I've checked, there's Shawnee Mission, I think, is the only other school in Kansas that has this type of a setup. It's away from the norm.
I think it's away from the norm, Alan, because very few communities get the opportunity to build a new high school.
Garden City just built one.
Junction
Dodge
City just built
one. Junction City just built one.
A new high school. Dodge City added on to their high school.
They have a new high school.
No, it's new.
Dodge City High School is new.
High school is 15 years old.
Yeah,
That's
Oh,
pretty new.
15, but yeah.
Yeah, and Gardens.
Time goes fast, but it was all new.
Gardens is,
That's pretty
no,
recent.
I thought Gardens was like also 15.
It's over 10.
Yeah. Junction is new, and they have, it's a beautiful building, and they have traditional bathrooms, and then they have the family bathrooms just right next to it. And to me, that gives them both options, and I like that idea.
So why don't we just call these gender-neutral bathrooms family bathrooms?
Whatever you want to say out there.
I get it, I do.
I have
I think it's
Can I
best
finish?
for our kids.
Well, I have daughters, and I know that they like to come out of the bathroom and fix their hair and do that, and they like to do private. They want to do it next to it.
Well, we have those opportunities. We have 70% of our bathrooms
Show me.
are, if they want a private.
Not in the academic. In that whole second floor, it's all gender
Well,
neutral.
that's what,
From what I've seen.
well, I thought that's where you wanted it.
I don't think we want them at all.
I would rather them be in the academic hall than in like,
You don't want bathrooms?
No, I don't think, I think we're making a problem out of something that didn't have, like, people
Well,
have had bathrooms
exactly, yes. I
no, people have had bathrooms forever growing up, and we're fine.
But 98% of Kansas doesn't have this
Yeah.
set up.
So what I would like to ask is, a lot of the times we talk about the feelings of the community. I would encourage everyone, especially if we come back and address this and give a tour, I ask you to ask a teenager if they feel comfortable going in a large bathroom. And I would also ask everybody else that question, and that's the why. That was the original why, was to give those private spaces for kids. So if we're going to come back to this conversation, which it sounds like we are, ask a teenager. A teenager who goes to the bathroom with people that have phones. Please have that conversation. I think that's a thing that we should come back and talk about. I think that's important. We continue to talk about our young people, everybody that's part of this conversation. I would encourage you to go talk to them. I would. And when we come back, I think that would be important. That was the original why. And if it's not been transparent enough, then I think that we also have an opportunity to bring back, if we need to talk about it and show those, I think that would be great. Because I think that when people are unclear, it's unclear. So maybe that's something that we could do.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Did you have a survey?
It's not just survey for me, sir. It's talking to kids.
No, I'm sorry, but didn't you have a survey? Didn't you do one online at the high school, and then it was taken down?
I think
I mean, there was like a newspaper article, our own kids were doing that.
And they had it, and it was like 70% were not in favor of it, and then it was taken down? Does that not happen? Did that not happen? Because I have a picture of.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
It was.
I'm not sure.
You don't know about that?
You mean, was it like a thing on?
It was a survey that was done on your website, like you have those little surveys.
Yeah.
You don't
like
remember
on the
that?
Hayes High website?
Hayes High website.
Yeah,
Those are, those you have to be careful about because students can reset their cache and they can vote a million times.
Still, but we need to have that should be a data point.
Can you do me a favor? Can you, on the bond report, there's that generalized picture of the high school with like A, B, C, D, E, F. Can you pull that up on the big screen? I can't find it.
It was in consent agenda. No, actually, it was under the superintendent.
Can't find the superintendent report. There it is.
Yeah, that's where it is. It's under superintendent report.
And while you're pulling that up, I just have to, commend Mr. Henderson and his staff see it every day of kids that want privacy as far as that goes. I mean, and you're going to have issues with, smoking in the boys' room isn't a song from today.
That's not a thing that happened in these classes.
Yeah, it's happened in the 50s, it happened in the 60s, it happened in the 40s. You're going to have, I've heard people say they're worried about rapes, they're worried about, you can get raped outside in the parking lot. I mean, if our concern is strictly those bathrooms and whatnot, then maybe the answer isn't always just in the bathroom discussion, maybe it's in security. Like Kurt said, Dodge City has 3 security officers just in that one high school, so maybe that's why, or Dodge City, maybe that's why it's not an issue. So maybe that's the level we need to look at, is security. There again, you're talking money, because those people ain't gonna work for free. So.
And you're saying your kids are.
And you're saying, you want to protect your kids, and we want to protect our grandkids, but.
And I agree, I do want to protect our kids, and I do want to protect our grandkids. I don't have grandkids. I do want to protect our kids. I don't think the nefarious things are happening in the bathrooms.
Well, I'm gonna hold you to that. Nefarious things happen in gang bathrooms all the time.
What are gang bathrooms?
Gang bathrooms are the kind that people like the ones with the where you go in and it's only girls or only boys.
And it's a stall.
Because there's
Got it.
like closed sight lines.
Got it.
And you can't, and like you said, you can't go in that bathroom
Yes.
yourself. You have to go get a male teacher.
Let me
or
rephrase my
something.
statement. I don't think nefarious things are happening in a 2-foot by 2-foot bathroom stall.
That's correct.
Okay. Can you generalize, can you show where the bathrooms are and describe
I'm
them?
going to leave this to Mr. Henderson. He knows this way more in depth than I.
My dude, come show off your school.
Sean, thanks for being here.
Yeah, and so I would love to do this on a night that's not tonight too. I mean, I knew that there was a conversation tonight. I don't have anything to hide. As a matter of fact, transparency, this subject, I would love for people to be more clear about. So if we need to do that in some way, shape, or form outside of these minutes, I'd love to help. I certainly don't have an agenda. Everything that everybody has said about safety, let's go. Let's have that conversation today, tomorrow, and every day thereafter. Whether it is a large bathroom and with one gender, or it is a private bathroom, safety will always be, every second that we open the doors for the kids, part of what we're talking about. So that's fair, and I would say that the community, we are all in on that conversation about safety. So, but I can do this right now. Go ahead, what you got?
Oh, we just wanted bathrooms. Talk to me about bathrooms. Where are the
green
bathrooms
bathrooms that you
located?
see, Brad, so the part that's the frown and the smile, that's the commons. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay,
smile, frown.
So immediately to the left of the frown and the smile, that is also the section that just got poured, 22,000 square feet slab of concrete. Pretty cool. That's section A. Okay? Section A is math and science. The green highlighter right there are private bathrooms. Now, they are adjacent to the servery. The servery is the thing in the foreground. That's where kids eat. That's what that is. It's also why there are so many there, because that is the commons, that's the cafeteria, it's all of those things. If you go up and to the left, we are going towards math and science. It happens to be, by the way, just for a frame of reference, see the break in the two buildings at the top there? That is the big wall that you see if you drive by Hayes High, by the way. It's exciting. That's the firewall that they're building. So that's the section we're talking about. The next set of 4 bathrooms, 4 or 5 private bathrooms, is immediately adjacent to the learning area. That is math and science. Those are science labs that you're looking at. So those bathrooms are right around 7 teachers who are teaching in that exact space. Almost kind of like we have kindergarten restrooms right there that are individual by the students and the teachers that are using that area. That's what the green is. And in our building, very similarly, that other side, if you go to the far right, that same green, that is right outside of A, the high school office. Yes, thank you. Up more with the cursor if someone's trying to help you. Okay.
I would really appreciate the cursor work.
Okay. So on the right, okay, the next time you see green towards the top, that is English and social studies. And that would be the next place you see a wall when you drive by Hayes High, by the way. They're going to put a firewall there too. But that would be the next thing that you see go vertical. The green that you see there, again, is immediately adjacent to a learning area. Specifically, the things below the green that you see, that's band room, that's stagecraft, that's the instrumental music wing, and vocal music, that's to the right. If you go up and to the north,
Too far.
you lost me.
Sorry. It jumps. It's really jumpy.
I don't know who's doing this, but thanks for your help. See, good job.
I should not be the one driving it. Unfortunately, you got me.
So again, those private bathrooms are immediately adjacent to classroom learning areas.
Now pause for a minute.
Yes.
I support that. That's great. Because if Kyle's supposed to be in math class and he is taken forever in the bathroom, it is right there and I can check on him. Thank you. Carry on.
So in a meeting that we had last week with Nat Holtz and company, I said, I want you to research and look into the light that goes on if someone is in one of those private spaces. Because if you've ever went to Kansas City, it's impressive. It's all out in the open. The sinks are right there. It is well lit. I mean, there's no secret that all these human beings are crisscrossing. And if I don't want that bathroom, I won't go there. And I think that's a really important comment for everyone in this subject. You do not have to use a private bathroom. If it makes you uncomfortable, don't go to one. There is access to others. They are large. When we talk about a distance to go, so the neon blue that says auditorium, Yes, that's auditorium, but everyone, that is the main entrance of the high school. Okay, and below the word auditorium is a massive parking lot. We have two. One is kind of the side that we already park on with the middle school that we share. So that's where kids come into the building. So it says auditorium, but those are bathrooms that students have access to and are in immediate proximity to the commons. Our school in general is rather like a college setup. You have a huge commons area like a union in the middle, and we have academic wings, and then they are upstairs and downstairs. They're similar in that. Yes, the athletic side over there, the other side to the left, where there's a basketball gym that you can see, are very large bathrooms. Where we get the word gang bathrooms, which that's not the quote that I need out into the world.
Sorry.
That is no, it's fine. That is an architectural term. So we'll just say large gendered bathrooms, okay, that we would normally have in any school anywhere. That is also where people, all of us in this room, will use the restroom at a football game. We will literally come in there, okay? Because in the distance between the green and the blue, that is also our concession stand, kitchen, all of that. So all community members at an event will come into that building, and those are large, and they are upstairs and downstairs. Everything in blue, if Mr. Wilson, who's doing a great job, scrolls down further.
Appreciate the feedback.
Where it says locker rooms, those are 7 locker rooms. They are all in the traditional view of locker rooms. There are male locker rooms, female locker rooms, and the other one that you see on the other side on the right that they're kind of by themselves, that is the larger football locker room, okay, because they have so much equipment. So that's kind of the scope of the bathrooms. When I walked you through the neon green ones, they look the same both on the first floor and the second floor. Then we have the 2 places that most certainly, if you do not want to go to a private bathroom, then don't. Go to the larger bathroom. And if I am uncomfortable in my decision, I might tell my teacher, yes, there's a bathroom closer to me, but I would rather go to the other. That also falls into a conversation what parents want their kids to do. I encourage everyone that's having this conversation, ask a teenager. And I came to board meetings. I even told my own mom, I'm going to talk about bowel movements to the public. Because it was going to be real. And I came here. But ask a teenager. Or be a parent of a teenager whose kid is literally storming into the home after school. Because that's how excited they are to have the ability to use the bathroom by themselves. Make no mistake, no agenda. That privacy and that dignity of that kid is why this ever came to be. No, it is not something that's done in lots of schools, but for one, I'm super excited that we have this opportunity. I've tried to be careful with my own opinions because this is a contested issue. However, my feet every day are where the kids are. So where they are and their feelings about that, and if they are comfortable, and I brought my phone and I looked at the board and I said, everybody, if you have a bowel movement, are you okay with the sights, sounds, smells, and people being able to post this? The world that my kids walk into every day is not the ones that you and I did. You can't even compare them. It's not apples to apples. They're not even close. So, but I also would say this. We are very respectful of this conversation, and I'm glad that we can hope to clear this up. Maybe I've talked more than I should. But these spaces in our school are to give privacy and dignity to kids who want them. Okay? So our kids have the ability to make those choices, and so do their families. I would say, child of mine, I don't want you to go into the private bathrooms. Then they won't. Now, or they might when you're not there. That's fine, that's real. But those decisions are there. Am I going to have new problems because we have new things? Let me tell you, I'm going to have new problems with new things come August 2025 that I haven't even thought of yet. And we will face them every day. And if community members have concern, we would love to have that conversation. We don't want this to be controversial. I mean, both sides of this have lots of good things to say because people care about their kids. But the thing for me to carry away with this is these are choices that you can make. We're not forcing anyone to go any place. But in the current model, in the current restrooms we have, if I don't feel comfortable for lots of reasons, I do not have a choice. And then that means I have anxiety. I literally can hurt my bowel health, which is why someone said our nurse is excited. that someone could literally go and be by themselves and use the restroom. Are people going to take too long in those, and I'm going to have to figure out logistically how to do that? Yes. And there are schools, and there's pros and cons to this. Of course, name an issue. But I think that there are things that we can work on, and I think we can do it together. This is the upstairs. Is that what you pulled up, Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
So notice the same thing, right? Now keep in mind that the frown face over here, I was really well practiced for this. No, I'm doing this on the flat. Again, our union basically in the middle, that is a walkway, a bridge that you can get from one side to the next, and then we have all those staircases and we have elevators. So there are, again, bathrooms that are large, normal, how we've always had them bathrooms, also on the second floor. And to Mrs. Getz's point, if I don't feel comfortable in a private one, restroom, I'm only walking by so many classrooms and I'm where I need to go. Options, choice, privacy, dignity, that's what this is about. So,
Mr. Henderson?
yes, sir.
How about the crisis, and each one of those are individual locked? How are you going to search each one of them? You're going to have somebody go in there and, instead of just looking under to see if they're there? I mean,
Oh, for sure.
You don't know
we will have
somebody's...
the ability to get in, and obviously if we hear something that is concerning enough to go. People have brought up to me if my child has a health condition that they could lose consciousness, or if those are known issues, again, go back to a family decision. I would not go in a private restroom. Or I would go to a private restroom that is right by the nurses, or I mean, whatever those decisions are. And we could go on and on and on about all the different kind of things that could come up with families if those are their choices. See, over here on the left, that is another really large restroom. That is the area that is immediately outside of our athletic complex, our gyms, and those are large restrooms. So there's 2 stories of really large restrooms there. Of course, because we're not calling them Gym A and Gym B. I don't know what they're called, but not that. But the large gym, okay, has 2,000 seats in it, and the smaller one has, so we would need the restrooms. So.
Thank you. That was very well spoken. All of my questions are answered, plus ones I didn't know I had. So,
Mr. Henderson, you're saying that a female or male that are in a private bathroom,
yes,
and they come out, and you talk about smells and everything, and they will open the door, and there's 3 boys or 3 girls there. How is that private?
Well, actually, so fair question. It's not private at all. And that's the thing I like about it, in that once you come out, you are where things happen. And I made a joke about this, is that it will probably force people to wash their hands. Because when I come out, there's sinks right there. It's the same in Kansas City. I watch people come out and just leave, and I was like, well, that's a choice. That's fine. But, so yes, that part is public. But again, when I'm talking about when you're actually in the restroom, that would be by yourself.
and you have the privacy and the security of knowing there's not going to be a cell phone sneaking under the stall door while you're in the act of eliminating your bowels. And on top of that, I don't know a single person who hasn't come out of the bathroom and blamed the stink on the person next to them or their dog. And I think that's also okay. Or before them.
That's right.
The point is, there's choices. And I think those choices are important. And again, I don't want to force anyone to use a bathroom they're not comfortable with, and I get that. So that conversation does need to happen at home. And again, teachers are going to be so supportive and so understanding. If you don't want to use that bathroom, if you're not cool with that, okay, go to the other bathroom. It's all about communication. And that's a big thing that we're trying to teach high school students, is the beauty of communication. Email your teachers when you're going to be gone. Text your parents if you're going to be home late. Let your teacher know that you're going to the far bathroom instead of the close bathroom so they don't send the SRO after you. Like,
And we have a system for that. We're already doing, we have e-hall pass. We track where kids go. If your pass says bathroom 1 and you go to bathroom 9, they're all labeled now. That's a protocol thing. It's a safety thing. It's a discipline thing. That's it. The other thing that I've always wanted to say out loud, so I'm just going to say it now, is just because I'm in a bathroom, a large bathroom with people that are my gender, does not mean that I'm outside of harm's way.
That's right.
I mean, in dealing with teenagers for a living, like, that's a truth about all this too, so just wanted that said.
And I see that the girl's going to go to this one and then go out and go to the next one and this one because the bathrooms will be dirty.
Here's another thing, and I'm going to be as respectful as I can. Girls are
Girls are gross.
Girls are messy
just
too.
as gross.
So, like, I think we're unilateral teenagers, not necessarily clean. And yes, there are things to work on. Are we going to have to teach kids about that? Yes. Is it going to create awkward conversations? Good. The more, the better. Like,
I'm
that's
just saying,
real.
even your males, they're going to go in there and they're going to go in and say, well, this is a mess, and go to the next one, the next one. I understand that.
Sorry, everyone, but that's...
It doesn't matter, male. If it's not a gender thing, it's going to be messy. Because,
Well, that's what you have already, though.
a lot of boys and girls.
But the difference is, I will label every bathroom. So, Mr. Park, if you go into bathroom number 8 and it is a mess, I will timestamp when you came out of it. And now, when I walk in and there's 11 people in there, I will find Alan and say, Alan, I got on camera you in number 8, and when you were in there and you came out, you did a lot of things with toilet paper outside of just putting it in the toilet. That's a real conversation in high school, but I'll know it's you because I watched when you came in and entered. That's different for us. I mean, that would offer us something that we've never done before.
So then that conversation would be, do we have enough maintenance? And we don't need to go there tonight. But those are conversations that we need to have. And it's not always about the building, it's about the staff in the building, I think. Do we
Yeah, I
have
agree
enough?
with you. I think that's a good question that you had with security. I mean, are all our security measures, we don't know. It'd be nice to hear that from the architect, what they've done to make sure our kids are secure.
Well, they did answer that when they were here last. They had the cameras, they talked about all of that. But we can, I mean, it could be something that we could ask them to address, but at the same time, I think you've answered every question we could possibly have.
Before we started school this year, we labeled each of the restrooms. We added a new hall pass system. We now have an SRO. I mean, we're always constantly changing that protocol to be as safe as we possibly can. It will never stop.
How are you helping those students right now that have those bathroom issues that don't?
We are absolutely overrunning the bathrooms that are private. And I'll tell you, we do that every day. My teachers have no privacy either. Like, we don't have enough restrooms right now. When DLR came out and said, what do you need in our new school? A lot of our people said, we want a place that, you see what I'm saying? We're going light years away. These things are, we're getting somewhere.
And those staff are all gender neutral?
Yeah, oh yeah, like many work environments, sure. And there's just a lot more of them than we have right now, which will get people very excited. I hope this helps. I mean, we want this to be clear. I think that our community wants this to be clear. And if there's a follow-up and we need to have a more dynamic view of this, I'd be happy to help.
Mr. Henderson, do you have access to better drawings? I mean, bigger, better, clearer? Instead of looking at that.
Blueprints, more
detailed blueprints?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I have a video that I've been trying to make and walk through for everyone. I've just got a little bit tied up on my day-to-day job, but I want to get that done because I think it's exciting. I mean, so we'll do that too. Maybe I'll have a timeline. I got to have it done for next time.
That video is for the board or for the public? Because I do have concerns about...
100% for the public. That's the goal.
I do have concerns about not letting the public not see things. I do have concerns about putting very specific locational things out there to the public. That's not...
No, this is going to be more of a digital tour using fancy 3D things that make you... Basically, I'm going to take everybody through a walk through the school.
Got it.
And my goal was to have it done sooner, and if I have contributed to this lack of clarity, I apologize. But I will also dutifully finish that, and then, we're starting to talk about it more because it's real. I mean, we got a wall. We're getting there.
Survive the wind.
Well, that's where I'd have to ask Mr.
Do
Jeter.
you have access to better drawings?
What do you mean by that?
I want bigger,
You just
clearer.
want names on the spots?
I want clearer so I can see them.
Well, I mean, what you see here, is that adequate?
I would like it bigger so I can see it in front of me, yes.
I mean, we have access to this, right?
No, it's about this big, because this is what all this is.
Yes, you can zoom in.
I save it on a different computer.
I think we ought to be able to print a decent picture of them.
Yeah, you just have to have a printer. I mean, I don't know how big you want it. We can make it as big as we can print the piece of paper.
I would like it. I would like a bigger.
So, Mr. Henderson, why can't you have a female private bathrooms and male private bathrooms?
I mean, again,
You take care of all the issues that you talked about.
Location. Why? Like, look, if we did that, that would cut the number of bathrooms available to all of the students in half.
Yeah.
So then, instead of, say, 10 bathrooms for me to choose from, I, as a female, would only have 5 bathrooms to choose from, and I'm SOL if 5 girls are in there, and I have to go all the way across the building. I would literally say it's just for more options.
But
Also,
if they don't, or if they're not comfortable with that, you're having to go clear across.
well, the same thing. If a student is gender neutral and they are next to the auditorium, they also have to go all the way across to get to a private room. And here's the thing. I identify as female, and I get that. And I know that students out there identify as other things, but I am not them and they are not me. So just because, like, it's not normal to my brain doesn't mean that they don't deserve the same level of privacy. And again, every student, every day, even if I don't align with them, even if I don't understand them, they still deserve the right to poop in peace and to be.
I would also say, in fairness, someone right now is thinking up something on TikTok that's going to cause me a problem tomorrow, because that's the world. And when that problem comes to me, we'll work on it. So I'm not pushing aside what you're suggesting on April 8th today. I mean, I don't know, but in the future, I mean, we can have conversations. That drawing is static. My school is dynamic. So when we get into that school, if there are adjustments to be made, we would adjust. I think that's fair. I mean, that's just the day-to-day operations of a comprehensive school with 1,200 human beings in it. So.
And my question would be for Mr. Jeter, as far as protecting those drawings out in public, to have all of them, as a school board, are we protected on not putting everything out there for the public to see in case of school shooters? And I mean, you see it on the news every day, guys. I guess that's my question, Mr. Jeter.
It would be discretionary what you want to release.
But we have the power.
You could release all of them if you wanted.
I really, truly don't feel comfortable with that.
What the Open Records Act is, it provides you a right in the board, in the district's discretion, to not release certain materials. And this would be one of them. Any plans and specifications that are related to security issues. Doesn't mean you can't, it's just discretionary. So I think there needs to be some discretion exercised in what is released publicly.
Thank you.
There is software as such that I can three-dimensionally scroll you into that area. I just asked the architects about it the other day. So if we specifically know exactly what we want, we can try to make that happen.
Now, as a board member, you're entitled to that individually. Keeping in mind, if it's introduced at a board meeting like that is, it is now public record.
Thank you.
Does that help?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, any more questions for Mr. Henderson? You did a terrific job.
You did. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for
Henderson.
working so hard on the fly.
Thanks for taking care of our kiddos.
All right, then we will move to 6.6, Migrant Contracted Services. Mr. Park, you asked for that to be pulled out.
Yes. This is a big change, and can you tell me exactly what their role is going to be?
They're providing the homebound or the home services to families that we had provided when we had a migrant service provider. She left in September. We've advertised, we haven't been able to fill it. To make sure that those families weren't losing services, we immediately began working with Northwest Kansas Education Service Center out of Oakland.
And when did you start
to
with
provide
that?
in September to make sure that the families didn't lose service. So we had a transition time in which previous migrant coordinator worked to make sure that the families list was up to date, the services that were being provided could carry on. I'm going to refer to it as Oakley, but it's the Northwest Kansas Education Service.
And so you
Oakley's been providing those services since then. So
you operated without a contract until now?
we've operated under basically a handshake agreement saying we will comp you the equivalent of what it would cost us to provide services if we could hire someone while we're advertising, so that, again, so the families didn't lose any service. So yes, now we're to a point in the year, and actually, I mean, since September we haven't had a successful candidate. We've only had a couple applications, but the recommendation is to move forward.
So this is
for the rest of this year and going forward, allowing Oakley to provide the services to our families.
But we don't know what our allocation is going to be for next year.
It'll be the same as.
Well, migrants had a $500,000 cut.
Yeah. So well, I would tell you this: if there is at the state level, if there are additional cuts or if our family numbers go down, we won't have a choice. We receive an individual allocation to our district. Anybody smaller than us, migrant program-wise, anybody smaller than us has already had to move to service centers providing, and we wouldn't receive an allocation. So if there does end up being a cut, it would be a moot point, and we would have to contract with Oakley to provide the services anyway. What we're able to do with Oakley, though, right now is we maintain the allocation so that we could continue to have an individual program at some point in time, but we are basically contracting with them to give them our allocation because we haven't been able to find someone to carry out the services.
So I did see in the contract about summer school. That's a requirement?
Right.
So it's not in the contract?
Summer enhancement program, yeah. So they're carrying out all of the required services for what we have remaining in our allocation for this year.
So do you think that moving this, I mean, we've had this program in our district for 50 years, and so now and Hayes is not the smallest district.
Not the smallest district.
Project.
The smallest number of students that qualify for migrant. We're not that has an individual allocation, yes.
There's some that are smaller. Hayes is not
And
the
they have
smallest as of today.
And they would be working through a service center if they.
Not all of them. There's some that are smaller than Hayes that have their own projects. There's 20 projects in the state right now, and Hayes is one of those. And I was a migrant director for 25 years, so I have a little bit of knowledge on this for this district. And so I'm afraid that we're just passing it off again, and we're going to be going down the hill just because we can't find one person. Have you still, is it published right now as a person?
Yep.
You have it on as looking for somebody for a migrant position?
And Oakley is too. They've advertised for this area as well.
And Oakley, there's some concern at how there's going to be maybe some changes there, so I'm just concerned about that. So
the option at this point, and of course it's the board's discretion, the option at this point would be to not contract with Oakley, and then the families don't get service at this point, and we would, whatever gets unspent in the migrant allocation would go back to KSTE. That would be an option also.
So why weren't we informed back in September that Oakley was involved, and why did they sign the contract in January and we're just seeing it now?
We've been working with them since then, and I think when Starlo left, we did talk about the fact that we were advertising we were going to use them as contracted service, so that there wasn't a gap in services. We've been continuing to work with them. They've been advertising, we've been advertising.
I know the state prefers to, I mean, if we're going to give that up,
So that's
they
the thing.
gave us
We're
an
not giving
exception
up.
this year.
Right, we're not, no. We've had exception for the last couple of years to keep an individual program and not be moved into a service center. They are allowing us to keep an individual program going forward also.
Just for this year was approved, not for previous years.
Well,
because they would
every
rather
year
do
is
it
year by year,
themselves.
right. Every year is year by year, but they have indicated that they will allow us to keep our individual allocation next year as well. And what we're proposing here is to go ahead and contract with Oakley to be able to provide those services. We keep the allocation. If we find a coordinator at some point, then we can resume an individual program.
Is that $35,000 the full allocation for this year? Or is there a $5,000?
No, we had spent a little bit because Starla had worked a little bit this year, so there's a little bit more than that. I think the allocation is $40,200 or something like that.
So now the data collection is done at,
So
COEs are done at,
Yep.
and their data collections.
And the recruiting and all of that stuff too. Yeah, they have providers.
So we have around, how many students do we have?
20, around 20.
We have around 12, and then we can double it because we have to do summer school, so we get counted twice. Is that where we're at? Something like that?
The
Around
summer increases
22.
your allocation, but as far as the head count, we have about 20 kids.
And so do you think we're going to have better service by having, because they can't, there's no way they're going to be able to serve rather than here and give the families the service that they need?
Yeah. Whether we have better services compared to what? Better than when we had Starla? No. Better than having no one? Yes.
From what I understand, state recruiters are not supposed to be recruiting for projects. And so if we don't have our own recruiter, if we have our own project,
Right,
we're
that's
supposed to
part
have our own recruiter.
That's actually.
How are we going to get our own recruiter?
Actually, we had an exception last year to have our service provider trained, and she acted as a recruiter also. The recruiting is actually done by service centers at this point.
But right now, Oakley does not, we're the only project that they have. They have like 200 students, but they're from all those little districts that aren't projects. They're just got migrant kids that they're servicing as migrant kids. So I'm just afraid we're going to be losing identity. We're going to be using a program that we've had in our district for almost 50 years or more. I just calculated around 45, 50 years.
Well, I see it more as students, not like a program, like we're just, without having anyone, we aren't able to take care of the students and their families. And so by agreeing and Oakley and having them help assist in providing for students and families and reaching out to us, I think that's what we're doing what's best for students. Because all of our students we take care of, whether they're migrant or title or whatever. So I think it's more about what's best for the students and the families. I know Oakley's going to have a family literacy night this Thursday. They reached out to the families. They work with us as far as the requirements of what their assessments are, how they're doing on reading and math. So it's a really good partnership and liaison, or it has been. So unless we find the right person, I feel like we're not going to serve the students and their families. And so that is why that's the recommendation we're bringing to you
So
today.
describe to me what the service is like. It's not a pull out. It's not something right now that out of Oakley, what do they just interview the families and touch base with them?
Right, and even with Starla, it was more of a family support, communication, making sure families understand their role as parents. And so that's the part that they're doing in addition to what's required.
Was she full-time migrant, or did she have another piece that was done by at risk, or how was she?
She was full. Migrant was her only position. It was 30 hours a week, but it was, again, like Sheena said, it was all the family supports. We didn't have any school time pull out.
Have you been advertising for 30 hours, or have you been advertising to do?
We've been advertising for 30 hours, yeah.
With some of these new positions that we have, is that something you could put together and be able to maintain the program and then give them the support? that hasn't been looked at, or?
We don't have, I mean, I don't know right now. If we get into next year, there's a possibility. I don't know how you, most of the services are, afternoon, evening, outside of school time. So there would be a possibility to stitch that together. The allocation is going to limit us in what we can do. I mean, most of the allocation has to go, ends up being dedicated to just the salary and benefits that the provider had, so that Starla had. So there's not a lot of room for anything else to go along with that.
So we're taking the allocation we have, part of the allocation, the majority of the allocation is going to go to Oakley. So this right now is just going to be to finish up this year because the contract's 23, 24.
Yeah, but if we don't find anybody between now and next year, then the recommendation would be to, again, utilize the services that Oakley provides so that there's not a gap in services to families.
Yeah. So we're every student every day, and there's no gap, and because it's going to take time to find somebody. Apparently, it has taken time. So this seems to be the best fit for this.
And
correct?
Would we rather have our own program? Absolutely. But since we don't have anybody, then I feel it best to make the recommendation that we
keeping the money in our community is good. Hiring somebody that services our kids in our community is good.
And if and if we found somebody, that's why we're advertising.
And then the reason that I pulled the finances is because we were going to approve something before even.
Yeah, and like Board Member Yomer asked, so at the work session when we talked about this, consensus was I had the feeling that it was going to move forward. So the check is in there to be approved, but if you don't approve the contract, then we just don't send the check. It just voids the check. And so that we can do them, one isn't ahead of the other. Both, you'd have to approve the contract and then approve the financials to pay them for the services.
So anybody else have any other questions at this time? All right, then I'm gonna ask for a motion.
I would move to approve the contract as presented.
I second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor vote yes?
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed vote no.
No.
Okay. I'm only hearing one no, is that correct? Jess?
No, we have.
There you go. Yes, only one no.
Okay. Motion passes. We will go to 6.7, budget revision request for federal Head Start. Alan, we had questions there. Did you have any further on that?
I don't. I move that we approve that. She answered my question.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor vote yes?
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed vote no. Okay. I'm not having it come up.
Yeah, it just.
Oh, there we go.
Mr. Brooks.
Okay. That passes, and so we will move to 6.8, financials. Mr. Park, did you have anything there?
Well, that main was that migrant check that was in there before we had approved this decision, and just hope that, from what I understand, that contract we approved was just for this year. We don't have another contract. And so I move that we approve financials.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor vote yes?
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed vote no. All right. With that passing and no further business on our agenda, we are adjourned.